So it's getting back into the advantages of franchising, why it's better to expand. I mean, in most cases, businesses want to expand, right? They just don't want to spend the money to open another location or hire some knucklehead employees, right? So we're going to use other people. We're going to go through the advantages and some other things and go through what our package is to make sure everybody's really clear about that. So key component, you're using other people's money to expand your brand with, right? And they pay for everything. First, they're going to pay you a one-time upfront franchise fee, probably around $50,000. Most of our clients, we're putting their franchise fee at $49,500, something like that. Sometimes it goes above, but you're using their money, right? So they pay you an upfront fee just to join your brand, get your training, have all your systems, whatever that might be. Then they pay for everything required to get their business opened up. So they pay you a fee to cover your marketing costs and your training costs, and then they pay for everything to get it opened up. So so now oh yeah, go ahead.
So, the franchisees are going to pay for everything, but, part of it is you trying to disclose what startup costs are. And, in our experience with the brick and mortar, it all depends, right? What place did they select? How big is it?
Mm-hmm.
What's required to be renovated versus what's not.
Sure.
They can vary a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So first off, you have always last say-so in where they're going to open up and what it's going to look like. We have relationships with real estate companies and all sorts of people, so you don't have to jump on a plane, go there, run around with an agent with the franchisee to find a location. You have your specs all listed, exactly what you're looking for. You're going to be able to dial into whatever demographics you think are important. Here you go, franchisee, find a real estate agent, go get 2 or 3 options, send them back to me. I mean, you're welcome to jump on a plane and go if you want to, and some franchisors want that, but you don't have to, right? You're the one that says, nope, yes, this one looks like this could work out based on whatever your specific requirements are. So you have final say-so on everything there.
Okay.
And that's where's the sign going? Not just it has to be the proper signage and logo, where's it going on the building? I mean, there's down to every detail, you have final say-so.
They really like it, it's really expensive, and it'll work for the business. I mean, we can say, okay,
sure,
that's going to cut into your profits.
Yes. I mean, you'll often have brick and mortar models where the franchisee just finds this smoking place, but man, it's about 5,000 more square feet than you really need, but that's so fine, as long as they understand it. See, now they're a franchisee. You can be as open and honest about everything you can, where before you had to be cautious about what you said in terms of numbers. Now you can say, hey, here's what the metrics are. This is going to cut into your profit by X amount of dollars, probably, but who knows? Many times what you offer changes, right? When the economy went nuts in 2008 and took a dive, I got hired 2 different times by franchisors to come in and help them do turnarounds. So they were really struggling. Sometimes you're too close, right, to your business. I come in, I don't know them from Adam. I learned about them, and I'm like, why aren't you selling these services to these customers? Well, I hadn't even thought about that. Both of these models have been in business a long time. I opened up vertical revenue streams, customer verticals they had not even thought about. So your business model might change as well, right? So maybe they can use that extra space. Yeah. So now, instead of you waiting till you can afford to go and open in a location and try to find a manager you can trust, as fast as people step up that are financially qualified and you think would make a good business partner, because they're going to be a business partner, you can sell and get one opened up. So you can grow very fast in franchising. However, you control that growth, like I said earlier today. If you don't think they're a good fit, or it's just timing is not right, you slow it down. That's up to you. But you can grow very fast. Like what Maya's done, I mean, she about killed herself. I mean, if you knew what she's gone through the last 2.5 years, but that's what she wanted to do. She didn't bring up, she has already turned down lots of money from private equity. Lots, because it's going to be worth more in a couple more years. Yeah.
So if it doesn't do well or something, it's not really on you, it's on them. But I mean, you want to help them, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But say they, because of other things in their life or whatever, and they're like, oh, they claim bankruptcy or they do something personal,
Mm-hmm.
they, that just comes back to you. And then, or how, like, this location is there, so I'm
Yeah.
confused on that.
So nobody wants to close a location that looks bad. So you can take it over if you wish to run it until you find a franchisee to take it over from you. That's up to you. Sometimes maybe it wasn't in a good location. Maybe there's other factors depending on your model that can
It's still
affect.
their risk, not yours, so.
If they own the building, maybe all they own is the equipment inside of it and they're leasing the space. It just depends. Yeah.
So if that person took out, let's say, an SBA loan or some type of financing to open up this franchise, and that's obviously under their own LLC, DBA, or franchise name. What happens to the debt if you have to take it over? Let's say they died, or they're just going under, they're not doing it.
No, that's their debt. You don't have to take it over.
So you as the franchisor can just assume this place?
I mean, can the creditors come in and
Yeah.
take the equipment?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably do that. They'll sell off the assets, whoever's involved with it. But if you want to take it over, you can, but you don't owe that debt. But
So if because now here, you're coming in at a corporate level, and let's say they have all this equipment and whatever, it's part of the, they even have liens on the leasehold improvements,
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have to pay the debt.
So there's like two different things. One's equipment, like in your business model, but then there's also what's owed the landlord, like you're saying, right? There may be TIs. Now, that may be you negotiating with the landlord. Yeah, I know he owes you the TIs. He said, yeah, the TIs are here. If you want to take this over, somebody's got to pay for these TIs. You negotiate usually a discounted price for the TIs owed because you don't have to. You can say, no, I'll just let it close.
Landlord wants the rent anyway.
Right.
You're gonna pay the
Right.
landlord.
I wasn't so worried about a landlord. They'll take anybody that makes sure rent is going.
Yeah.
Especially if corporates come in.
Yeah. Leasing company for equipment or whatever.
Is there a repercussion from the, whatever SBA loan they took out, or whoever else they're?
No. You don't owe anybody anything.
Right, if they're gonna come steal your equipment or take your equipment away.
Yeah.
You can probably work out a deal with them too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Short asset purchase and stuff.
Liability. So in the franchise agreement that they sign with you, you are going to specify exactly what insurance coverage they are required to carry. Sometimes it's a big deal because of the type of industry that you're in. Others, it may not be a big deal, $2 million general liability, blah, blah. So they will get that, and then you require them to name you, the franchisor corporation, additionally insured on their policy. Because if they do something wrong and they have a big claim, you might get named, right? Hey, the franchisor, they're the deep pocket. Let's just name them. Even though you have no liability, you still got to defend yourself. So now their insurance will protect you and cover you in that type of example. Oh, we just talked about this, the growth rate now. You can grow very, very quickly. And the nice thing is you're not adding a bunch of staff. In franchising, because you're mentoring and coaching business owners, it's usually, this varies based on your model, usually only one corporate support person for every 10 or more franchisees, depending on the kind of support. Now, there's some franchisors, they got a big call center that they manage for all their franchisees because they want to manage that. That's different. But in most models, it's only like one corporate support person for every 10 or more franchisees. Now you're not getting bogged down in their day-to-day operations, right? Somebody doesn't show up for work, that's on them, not you. You're coaching and mentoring at a high level now. These are business owners, executives. Usually it's just a phone call, a Zoom call. Once in a while, we talk about somebody's going to go visit them. Eventually you'll have somebody that handles a region of franchisees there. You'll have multiple people that work with and help coach franchisees. You're coaching and mentoring business owners, so they're much more highly motivated than an employee would be. So they tend to run these locations much more efficiently and profitably than employees would, because there's their money on the line. And they tend to keep their units looking nicer. Right? If I'm just an employee, I may not be as concerned about cleanliness, et cetera, maintenance. So they tend to do a much better job. So getting back to the growth again, you don't have to keep adding overhead, with like each franchisee. You'll know when it's time, we're kind of stretched, we need to add another staff person. Sometimes it's in marketing support. Sometimes it's more operational support, whatever it might be. You'll know when that is. It's not something dramatic that happens overnight. So Now, the franchisees are helping you build your presence all over the country. They're doing marketing for you, right? So when people start Googling you online and looking at you, I mean, they're helping to boost your presence online in any other ways that people might come in contact with you. They'll walk in, like I say, they'll say, wow, is this a franchise? Yeah, it is. I love this. Yeah.
Your website will have to be a bit bigger or able to process more things, or just have a button that says locations then?
Yeah, usually.
Consistent with the brand?
Yeah, because you want to control what they're doing online. So usually it's location buttons, and you will kind of control that. You'll customize it for them, local pictures, whatever it might be.
Because location to location will probably vary in the price points too.
Could. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
So then,
Is a burger here the same, and McDonald's the same in California?
probably
as in
not.
Nebraska?
Definitely not California, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I've never really compared.
Yeah. So,
If you're selling online,
Well, sorry?
if you're making reservations or
Yeah.
you're selling memberships or whatever, you're gonna have to have different revenue capture and different pricing for each location.
yeah, I mean, there could be a link on their location site that takes them straight to a menu, because they're not really going to be looking up other locations. They're just going to be looking at their location that's close to them and looking at the prices, and then,
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
People compare prices and that sounds.
right, yeah. Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about this upfront fees from the franchisees, right? How is the post-franchisee start revenues? I mean, basically,
So you're going to make money. Let's talk about just fees in general that the franchisee is going to pay you. So first is the upfront franchise fee, one-time fee, right? Your main source of profit for you, the franchisor, is royalty. And it is usually a percentage of gross sales, not profits, gross sales. So every dollar they generate, you get a piece of that. That royalty can range from as low as 4% to 10%. If you're a high overhead, small profit margin model, think full service restaurant, there isn't a lot of profit to go around. You're only charging the franchisee 4 to 5%. You get into some service models, home-based, cheap industrial park space, maybe with much bigger profit margins, you can be charging 6, 7, 8, 9, I've even seen 10% royalties coming back to the franchisor. So we'll help you figure that out. Also, we're going to show you what your franchise competitors are doing. You get to see what their franchise fee is, their royalty is, what a territory looks like. You know, doesn't mean you'll be identical to them, but it gives you a framework. Okay, it helps us, you, and the attorneys kind of build your franchise model. So royalty is your main source of income. Another source of income is going to be all of the approved suppliers, vendors that you require the franchisees to purchase from. You're allowed to get rebates back to you on that. Now, some franchisors have the franchisee actually order directly through them, and they place the orders to the vendors and suppliers, and they just mark it up, okay? So you have the right to earn money on any purchases that you require the franchisees to make.
And how much is that?
Pardon me?
How much is that market?
So it's like anything, it's based on volume. As you open more franchisees and there's more and more purchases, the pricing gets better, your margin gets better from coming back from the vendors and suppliers. Now, you do have to disclose that in your FDD. If you're getting any rebates back from vendors and suppliers, or the franchisee's buying anything from you and you're making money off of that, it has to be disclosed, but it's expected.
So you get that rebate from the vendor?
Correct.
From system? Or can you buy like bulk, you have everybody and then market it at
Yeah.
When you market it, what does that market mean?
Well, it depends. So you don't want the franchisee to say, hey, I can buy that right over here, same thing, for less money, right? So getting back to value again, what's the value? It's easier for me to order directly from you. You're negotiating, you're handling all this yourself, and if it's good quality and it's at a good price, I'm buying from you. And you can require them to buy from you. You just want to make sure they're seeing value in it.
did you say FDD requires us to disclose?
Yeah, if you're getting rebates back from suppliers, or the franchise, or you're making money from purchases that the franchisee is making of you, yeah, you disclose it. It's not a big deal. It's expected.
We have a very complex business, and we're challenged right now to distill down what are the aspects of our business that we would convey to franchisees to do. For example, it's a charger business. Do we convey to them processes to install, or just the boxes that we sell to them and leave it up to them to figure out who
So the least complicated you make it for the franchisee, the easier to sell franchises and the happier the franchisee is, right? So you need to look at, okay, what's the ideal situation here? Do you really need to have them equipped to handle a lot of this themselves because that's really the quickest and best way to do it? Or you say, no, this is going to be better if I handle it. Getting back to the call center, right? So Jeff Duden, who was one of our partners at one time, he built a really big restoration company, right? And he set up a huge call center because he didn't want to have to worry about how his franchisee in Bismarck, North Dakota, answered the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning when somebody's pipe burst. He said, I want to control that. And then I dispatch out there. So it depends what's best for your business and what makes it easier for the franchisee to generate sales and revenue. So you just kind of look at that, what makes sense for you.
Do you do coaching on what aspects you do initially make sales and revenue on? So, for example, we have a lot of different things we can do and are doing, but probably when you want to try to boil the ocean, do you help to identify which of those aspects of your revenue opportunities are best to franchise to start?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite common. You'll get some service models where here at the corporate office, we offer all of these services. Anything happens to your house, we can take care of it. Now I'm opening franchise. Okay, here are the 4 or 5 core things that every franchisee has to do, but maybe with additional certifications or whatever, you can add on these other revenue resources. So do you think through that? The nice thing I mentioned earlier is you are going to update your FDD every spring. You're required to. So every spring before the end of April, the Federal Trade Commission says, okay, any changes you want to make to your franchise agreement, the FDD, blah, 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 make them. So all future franchises are on this new language, whatever that might be. You might increase your royalty or your franchise fee, right? Also, any franchises you sold last year, they get added into the FDD so people can contact them for validation. And you, the franchisor, do audited financial statements every year. So all this gets put together, the changes made by the franchise attorney, you're re-registered, and that FDD is good for a full year again. So you can make changes and add things. Now, your operations manual, which gets to how the franchisee runs the business, you're allowed to make changes to that anytime you wish throughout the year. You just notify the franchisee, hey, effective immediately, we just made this change. You're going to put your operations manual online, give them a password, they have access to it, makes it really easy for you to make changes, notify them, they can read the changes, you'll know if they even opened it up and read it.
Is that normal? To be able to change it every year?
Yeah, because you're not changing what they pay you. The royalty is whatever it is. They're on a 10-year agreement. You can't change anything in there. But in terms of, you might decide, we're changing our hours of operation. You can do it. You're allowed to do that. As long as it's not something that's a giant expense for the franchisee.
I thought that was because I was grandfathered into a different franchise.
Yeah. But like
Grandfathered in, you don't have to go with the new changes.
Correct.
And when they try to put the new stuff.
Yeah, but you may only have like 2 years left on that agreement you just bought. Brick and mortar in your model is a good example. If I'm a restaurant, or I'm yours, okay, every so many years, that franchisee's got to do a refresh on this place. Some franchisors start taking money from them. You pay in a little bit every month, right? I'm putting in an escrow account for you, and then whatever, 5 years out, we're going to require you to whatever, paint the new light fixtures, whatever. So it's set aside for them. You can do that as well. So, getting back to the fees, I skipped that. All right, so we talked about the franchise fee, the royalty, rebates. Now, all franchisors will have in there that you have the right to charge the franchisee some type of a monthly ad fund, brand fund, marketing fund, whatever you want to call it, right? This is money that you get to spend for the benefit of the brand. And it's very broad. You're just not allowed to use it to market, to find and sell franchises. So we always tell franchisors, separate checking account. If somebody wants to audit, you can prove where all this money's going. Eventually, you're going to have probably a franchise advisory council. They get involved, helping to make those decisions where the money should be spent. Now, the franchisee is also going to have a clause in their franchise agreement that says, you must do X in your local market to bring customers in. Sometimes it's a percentage of revenue that they have to spend in advertising. Sometimes it's a flat amount or it goes up. But this is money you're going to spend now, this brand fund that they're sending you that you pool together. And it could be anything. It can even get to the point that if you have somebody on your staff that's very involved with helping the franchisee do marketing and all that, it can cover their salaries. So as long as it's for the benefit of the franchisees in a broad way, you can spend it on there.
That's not something you make money on.
Correct. No, that is a rent. Correct. And the next one is like that as well. Technology fee. All right. We always tell you, you put it in there, even though you don't have anything currently like a custom software or whatever it might be. You put it in there that you have the right to charge the franchisee some type of a monthly technology fee to cover whatever the software is. And it could also be like managing those landing pages, the location site you're talking about. It can be for anything.
Do you recommend that everyone do an advertising fund, even if they don't have any like franchises? I always get that question too.
Uh-huh.
When people trying to negotiate it, what do you think about? I mean, you should probably put something in there. Is that your point, like for advertising?
Yes.
funds?
You're going to put it, you have the right to change. There are some franchisors, and you know this, Bill, that they decide, first of all, we're brand new. I only have 2 franchisees, not much money to pool and spend for the good of the brand, right? Unless you want to put it right back into their market, which you can. Most attorneys say, start charging right away so they get used to it, even though it's a tiny, tiny piece. Some franchisors say, okay, your first year, you don't pay into the marketing fund, but it starts month 13. Something like that, right? So you can do what you wish, but it is good to get them used to paying something right away. So it's not a big shock when they all of a sudden, okay, you got to start paying me now because it's month 13 or whatever. So here, that's what I've been talking about. Yep. So that's that special revenue column we're talking about, vendors and supplier rebates, et cetera, et cetera. But there are a lot of franchisors that sell products to the franchisee. They're, special recipes, mixes, sauces, spices, whatever that might be. They don't want them to know the recipe to make whatever it is. I just came from the American restaurant and beverage show in Miami, and a woman from the Netherlands was there with her incredible cupcakes and cookies, right? And she said, I don't want them to know exactly how these are made. And I can ship them from the Netherlands if I have to, but eventually I'll have somebody here making them because I don't want them to know this secret recipe, right? Some franchisors do that. That's up to you. So if there's anybody in your industry already charging and selling franchise, we look at their legal documents. You're unique enough, you probably don't have anybody or even somebody that's similar to you. Sometimes it's based on the value that they're getting up front, the training, what comes with it, are there special certifications? If it's a really unique franchise with a huge upside, you might charge more, maybe it's $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. I always tell people, don't look at the one-time franchise fee as a big profit center. You want it to cover all your marketing costs needed to find that person, and then whatever your training costs are to get them up and running. So when I say marketing costs, that may be a broker, a commission, $30,000, right? So you want enough money left over to cover all your training costs to get that franchisee up and running. So most of our clients, we're putting the franchise fee at around $50,000. We've had a couple lately where it's $60,000. Trouble is you'll get clients, they'll look at some of their competitors, oh, they're only charging $25,000. I said, people don't compare franchise fees. They want to look at what's my total cost to get this business open and running. That's what they really care about. And they're going to get a loan for that of some type, usually, right? So another $20,000 doesn't mean shit to them if I got to spend $150, $250, whatever the total upfront cost is to get my business up and running. So chances are it's going to be around $50,000, but maybe because yours is so specialized and maybe the opportunity is so big, we decide, let's raise it and make it more.
Can we stipulate starting stock so you have to invest in X $100,000 of equipment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in item 7, that's where you list what are the estimated startup costs to open with these franchises. And they allow a range, right? So here's the ideal, let's use a restaurant, right? Ideal, cheapest way to get your doors open. They're going into, it's a retrofit. It was a previous restaurant. It already has bathrooms and sinks and faucets and hoods and vents and fans. Pretty cheap to go in there and just take over. Then you have, here's a shell, right? So they show a big range of, you could get started for as little as, whatever it might be, $100,000. But over here, if you're buying a building, blah, 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 maybe it's going to be $2 million, right? You just have to explain the difference. And so you itemize everything there. Here's the equipment, here's this, here's this, here's this. And it's an estimate, right? But they have to know, okay, how much money do I really need to get this business up and running? And it also includes what you estimate 3 months of working capital needs to be. Now, if they're going to be, in the red for a year, you don't have to put it in FDD, but you want to be upfront with them about that. You really need 8 months of working capital. So let's talk about our package. So our price currently is $59,500 for everything that we give you. So, and as I mentioned to some people, so if you went directly to a franchise attorney just to get your FDD completed, bill about $25K is kind of what the ongoing price. So you can get some a little less, a little more, $25,000. This is going to be a single unit franchise agreement and your FDD, about $25,000. So you get your FDD and the franchise agreement. Then we get into marketing. So we're going to create the franchise brochure that you can email to people. You're going to get the franchise development landing pages on your website created, press release for you to send out as you wish. You're going to be exhibited in 12 of our Great American Franchise Shows. If you can be there or somebody on your team, you get a 10 by 10 booth or bigger, and you're talking to people directly. If you can't be there, we have a pavilion area, and you'll be able to see how we represent you. We talk to people. We'll have your pop-up banner there, and they'll be able to take a picture of your QR code, go right to your website. Then we get into the magazine, the Franchise Journal magazine. It's a digital copy, like Nick said, and it goes out to over 500,000 people every month. There's a theme every month. Sometimes it'll be focused on senior care or food or this or that, but it has lots of other ads in there. So you're going to have a profile about you and your story and the new franchise opportunity. That goes out. And then every month for the next year, you get a full page ad in the magazine. It's a free magazine. You guys can look it up, Franchise Journal. Might as well start getting it, so you can get a good idea of what it looks like. We also create for you, because most of you will work with the broker networks, we call it a 2-minute drill. Brokers represent between 300 and 400 franchise brands. They cannot remember the details, right? So they meet somebody they think is going to want one of these wonderful little petite pup franchises. They can pull up this 2-minute drill that we have prepared. It's bullet points. It's a sizzle sheet. Just covers the basic. What exactly is the franchise model? Why it's a great opportunity? Estimated startup cost. Ideal franchisee. Blah, blah. So they can hit boom, boom, boom to get that person excited. Yeah, I want to learn more about this. Then that way they'll be able to send them over to you. So we create that 2-minute drill for you, and that goes out to all the brokers as you sign up with their networks. Yeah.
For the expos, you said you have 12 shows.
Uh-huh.
Let's say we're not present there. How would you represent us? You have, let's say you have 3 clients.
So we take a row, we call it a pavilion. So we have a row, usually, sometimes almost a whole row, and we will have your banner up, along with our other clients that couldn't be there, right? And everybody comes down our aisle, everybody, right? So we start chatting with them, asking them what their background is there anything particular they're looking for, blah, blah, blah. And we start showing them our clients. And the ones that kind of strike them, we answer questions of it. They'll take a picture of the QR code, and it takes them to your website. Hopefully then they'll fill out a form fill, I want to learn more. And that's when your brochure goes out. Monique?
So also what we do is scan everybody that show, so you give them their email and phone number.
Yep.
So then what I do after the show, because people have specific interest in a certain brand, I send out an introduction email to the franchisor and this candidate to connect them, and then they take it.
Got it. And you talked about 10 by 10, is it something that you offer, or we be purchasing that?
No, it's included. You get it. It's part of our package. 12 expos. And then if you want to continue exhibiting, Nick gives you a discounted rate after your 12 shows.
Oh, I see. The first 12 shows, it's
That's part of the package.
We could do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We could see a sample tomorrow, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
The landing page on your website, do your people work within your existing website?
Yes. Now, they'll also do a free analysis of your current website. Oftentimes, it's crap and you need it improved. Now, they'll give you a price to do that, right? But yes, it goes to your existing website. They put the link on the homepage that says franchises, and then somebody clicks on that on their computer, then those pages drop down. Yeah.
So is that once a month, the expo?
No. So we take the summer off. So most of the time we have like 2 a month. So like right now, so September, October, November, and we take December off. So there's like two every month, yeah,
Okay.
typically.
And so I guess the follow-up on that is if, say, I signed up with Franchise Genesis today, but I didn't feel ready to go to the expo for 6 months, for whatever reason, is there an option to take the next 12 shows?
Yes.
Even after?
Yeah, so we do, and this came up at lunch, we do allow you to start exhibiting before you have your FTD, if you want to. You just very restricted on what you say. You're not allowed to talk about dollars and cents and revenues and things like that. But you get a lot of exposure. It gives you practice, just talking with people about your model.
And I guess I ask because I would imagine that if the first year is slow with regard to new franchisees, that second year could be really helpful to be in 12 shows if I've got 2 people with success stories.
Yeah, well, it's going to get started when you have your FTD. And if you can't be there, we're exhibiting you, and that's going to be ticking off your 12 expos,
Okay.
even if you can't be there. Yeah. Okay. Over in operations, all right? So operations manual, we include writing your operations manual for you with you, all right? So we have the guts of what almost every franchise needs. So we have that, but then we gather lots of information from you about the specific details about your model that is going to require the franchisee on how they run that. Yeah.
As with every business, and it's unique, I mean, how we clean the potty grass, it's completely, that would be in the operations manual.
Yes. Yeah. And you will continue to add things to that all the time. You're going to train your first franchisee, get them up and running. Oh man, I'm going to add this to my operations manual or change something in the manual. Oh yeah, yeah. It's a living manual. You're able to update and change and make adjustments to all the time.
Okay, it's where your core values and stuff are at too?
Yes, core values, everything is as detailed as you want it. Now, some franchisors have multiple manuals. It's fine. I mean, some that are really heavy outbound sales, they might have just a marketing manual, right? So it just depends. But it always starts off with one manual, and you may get to the point you expand something and have a separate manual for that. Yes?
When it comes to like instructions, like training manual for employment, is it included in this one? Like track type of-
Yeah. Yep. You can make it as detailed and lengthy as you want it to be. We're going to put the basic thing together. You're going to start giving us all the custom things you want in there. Then we give it to you, and you'll continue to add to that as you think of things. Sometimes you're adding new revenue streams, new customer verticals.
Are we doing by ourselves after we're done with it?
Yeah, you're doing it by yourself.
You say, okay, this is your final copy.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes with several updates. We're back and forth, and then okay, here you go. It's yours now. Somebody over here first.
Fancy or just a Word document? Is it a platform or?
It's basically a Word document. You get PDF versions, you're looking at it, and you're and reviewing it, giving Monique changes you want to make or additions, and then eventually, yeah, here you go.
Is it legally,
Pardon me?
is it legally reviewed?
It is not, but it is considered a legal document, right, Bill?
Yeah, I have like 3 things I wanted to say. These
Go
are
ahead.
great questions. First off, with the employee stuff, we might give you some guidelines and things like that, but you gotta be careful about telling them how to hire and fire people, because we don't want joint employer liability in any
Right.
way. It's their employees, and they deal with their personnel,
Yep.
however they want to make the decisions, but there will be certain guidelines and
Yep.
everything else. To your point, it is a legal document, but look, what am I gonna tell you about cleaning the grass? As long as, I think I would only look at it for things like that, but the form that they already have together and put together for you, I don't think they'll let you color outside the lines too much, but, if someone asks me, one of my clients asks me to look at it, I'm going to, but I'm not gonna go through it and prove it. I'm just going to look and make sure there's no pitfalls or exposure.
Yeah.
About the hiring, can you, because we have like the interview questions and kind of things that are red flags to us.
Examples, samples, guidelines.
Yeah.
No directives, no requirements. It's all up, it really is up to them, kind of like setting pricing too, which I don't know if we're getting to that yet, but, you can't dictate that kind of stuff. If you do, you're gonna probably open yourself to joint employer liability, which no one wants. Just especially stay away from the personnel part. And then the other point about publishing, look, it might not be something they do, but once you have that document, I would 100% recommend that you figure out a way to get it to them, even if it's an email blast, but every time there's an update, it just sends it off and they're like, oh, check your thing. Or if you have a dashboard, but that's probably on the franchisor to create that kind of system, but you're on the right track. I would 100% do it digital because you can update it so easily.
Yep.
There used to be a time when people wanted to send 30 pages.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I don't.
We have a company, specifically later, the Light Tree, so we have a special partnership with them as well. They, can turn your, ops manual into like a digital format, like it's like, more like a learning management system setup. They take the content that we create, and they're gonna show you today what that looks like. And as a Genesis client, they send it up to you for free, so you don't pay them to get it all set up. With your franchisees and you, your corporate locations pay monthly, for the technology.
Yeah. There are some franchisors that even get involved with helping them interview people. I highly recommend against that, right? Give them guidelines. This is the kind of person you're looking for. I mean, sometimes they even do personality profile testing, things like that. But yeah, you know, especially in like a California, I mean, you're going to get smacked around and say, oh no, you're a part owner of that employee that whatever just stole from somebody. Yeah.
And I can
What about
understand
pay
why.
rates and stuff? You started to say a little bit something like that. So the pay rates, you know, in Arizona are probably gonna be different than like Nebraska or something, in New York or.
I think that's more of an item 7 thing you look at when you look at your additional funds after they open, and that's the end part of item 7, like he was talking about. You have to talk about how much before.
I think she's talking about pricing to the customers. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I think you were talking about employment.
Well, no, the employee, how much they're getting paid.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
how much
okay.
their services are. Do we dictate that, or are they gonna change the prices?
You can do, like, if you ever look at a Subway and they have a $5 foot longer back in the day, you'll notice at the bottom, participating franchisees only. You can make promotions and things like that. You can set highs and lows, but dictating the exact pricing for the exact reason you just said.
Yeah.
People have to pay people $22 an hour in Seattle versus $14 an hour in Central
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. They should be able to allocate it, and it just takes it off you. But you can set maxes and minimums for pricing, and then back to the other point on the employee wage.
Yeah, wages?
Employee wages, that's on them. I mean, it's what it is, it's what the law says, right?
Right.
You can, again, give guidelines, recommendations.
So there's somewhere where minimum wage is $7, they can give them like $7 an hour?
If they can be competitive, maybe they can be competitive.
Probably explain to them that that's not gonna get the best quality of person. You can recommend
Okay,
things,
that's valid.
but it's not, you don't dictate it, right?
So
Recommend
my company across
guidelines.
the board always gives at least this much, not really, because this one does this and this one does this, and it's their decision.
Yeah, and you can all, they can talk to each other, you can benchmark what other people do, they provide information, but it's on you to get it, right, from the
Okay,
franchisees.
they're able to get an employee with that low, I would.
No.
Yeah, they have to be competitive with what else is around there. Most days for competitive jobs, they're not paying minimum wage. They're paying more than that because they won't be able to keep any good employees based on whatever their industry is. Yeah.
Obviously, a service or a product can be replicated, you know, and done by a different company, or by a franchisee. I'm struggling with how, you know, when we first started this, my question was always like, how do you franchise a heart? Because I felt like so much of our business was our culture of that. You know, I mean, it's something as simple as like everyone who comes in, hi friend, everyone is called friend, hi friend, you know,
Sure.
that kind of a thing. How, obviously you can put in
Training.
operating manual, training.
Also, you know, so the franchisee is one thing. You're going to be actively involved in deciding whether you think they're a good fit, but you need to teach them how to hire the right type of people that fit the culture of the brand, et cetera, right? Yeah.
You're gonna teach them it's beneficial to their business to act like that because.
Yeah, but if they wanted to change it to high partner, no, I was saying,
Yeah.
like, that was your verbiage, those
Yeah.
were your words.
Yeah.
And you want high friend to be what people say instead of high partner or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you as a franchisor then say, everybody always says that, can you tell them what to say to their clients? It's your business, but it's their business.
Well, I think those kind of expectations can be. I mean, that's part of the, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like if your employees are not addressing customers the way we dictate, because that is part of our culture, yeah, I think you can,
Because when you go to like a Chick-fil-A or something, they say about the, you know, it's my pleasure, and they say it like everywhere, so
Yeah.
that's sort of their brand, but you can't tell them to say it's the friend thing, or you can't?
you may not be able
I
to,
wouldn't want to write a default notice based on that alone.
You
But
wouldn't
if
want-
you're not, I wouldn't want to write a default notice because you said hello partner instead of hello.
Correct,
friend.
yeah.
If their sales are the same, you probably respectfully might not care as much.
Yeah.
As long as they're hitting your sales. But if it really becomes a problem, I think the best way to do it is you would calculate that, but look for other things that you may want to do, like not hitting numbers or whatever else, because you don't want to, I don't want to write that.
I think what,
It kind of goes back to that Seinfeld episode. But
Yeah, no.
yeah, but Kathleen, so once you have multiple franchisees up and running, the ones that are following the system are the most successful ones, right?
Yeah.
Not the maverick over here. So you're able to show them, if you were doing what we told you to do, because we know this works, look at what so-and-so's doing. Look at their numbers compared to you, and then they can talk with them.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
The rule breaker.
Well, that's true. Then we, as we say, we help exit them with honor. Ralph, Money Man, how are you, buddy? All right, we're supposed to be taking a break now. Yeah, we're.
When does the clock start running on marketing?
Well, so first you start off working with the attorneys to start building the FDD. A few weeks later, Monique starts working with you on the operations manual. These start off with long questionnaires, gathering information. After some decisions have been made, franchise fee, royalty fee, et cetera, then they can start working on the marketing materials. So that's usually like the third component before that gets started.
Not so much like the material, but the clock that starts with the expos and the
Oh. So the expos technically don't start until you've got an FDD. But we let people start exhibiting before they have their FDD. Yes, Monique?
I just want to add one more thing that's included in the package, it's not on our slide, but that is membership of the FCC, the Franchise Consulting Company. So you normally pay a membership fee annually to be part of that, to have these consultants represent you. First year, you don't pay anything for the membership, and then the second year, you get 50% off.
Yeah, you're getting about a $15,000 value to get into FCC for free. So you don't pay anything until it's a success fee. You end up awarding a franchise to someone one of the brokers brought to you.
7,500 ongoing after that, to be a member.
Or as low as 3,000. Yeah, Nick has different levels of what's included there. The minimum amount's about 3,000. Most people are doing something different, yeah.
And you get to go to the first conference, you don't pay your travel, you don't pay to attend the conference.
Yeah, so all the broker networks do 1 or 2 conferences a year. This is where they invite all their brokers to come for several days. Every franchisor they represent is invited, and then all sorts of vendors and suppliers and sponsors, finance companies, you name it, are there. And the brokers sit there and listen. It's kind of speed dating. Every one of you get to pitch your brand to the brokers that are there. To meet you one-on-one. They get to learn any details about it because you want them to go start presenting your brand to their candidates. It's great. Well, some of them don't like to be called brokers. Some like consultants, matchmakers, right? So Nick does them in beautiful places. In January, it's a cruise going to the Bahamas. 6 months, he does them every 6 months. 6 months ago, it was in a beautiful resort in Mexico. We've been to the Dominican Republic. So some of the other broker networks, they do them stateside, but they're in beautiful resorts, but it's really good. You get to meet the brokers one-on-one. They feel good about you. They feel comfortable to bring you their candidates. Yeah, it's good. It's very educational. You learn a lot, lots of guest speakers. Well, we're supposed to be taking a break right now. Oh, is there another slide? I'm sorry. Oh, just so you know, if you bought everything in our package, like off the menu, retail price, it's $114,000. It's really more than that, but say $114,000 value. So for $59,500, you're getting that much value. Oh, you need me to go back? I saw some people taking a picture. All right. Okay. And this is kind of our process we were just talking a moment ago. So we start with legal, then operations, then we get started in marketing. We have 2 training classes with you. One is on franchise marketing and sales training, going to all the details about where and how to market your brand to find franchisees. Then we have operations training, talking about software, keeping franchisees compliant, getting your royalties collected on time. So a couple of really good training classes.